All right, let's get ready to do it.
Okay, I see it say live on Facebook.
It's live.
It says live on Facebook.
Is anybody else on? Okay, so I think we are live.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
live on Facebook.
welcome to Health is Wealth podcast live on Facebook. Brought to you by HHT Fitness, powered by Bam Juice. Make sure you get your Bam Juice, all natural, organic,
Hey, I'm waiting on
no
mine.
preservatives.
Are
Why you
they?
gotta
Are
go
you?
there? You starting
Are you
already,
giving
and we
them?
just
Are you giving them the damn juice that I had?
oh, no. That's Bam Juice Supreme. That's another level.
Right. Yeah, that's
That's the one
fire.
that'll open you up.
Yeah, that's
That's the
fire.
one David be doing, Lauren. Yeah, this one is a more mellow version. It tastes really great.
It's
If
not
you want more
fire.
information, you're watching, DM us, myself, Coach Marcus, or Coach Erica, and we'll gladly provide information on how you can order your 8 pack. All right, so I got some special guests tonight, and I'm going to go around and introduce them. So I'm going to start with the ladies first. We have Miss Lauren
Hello, everyone.
Jenkins.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We have Miss Erica Varner. We call her Coach Erica.
Great evening, everybody. Great evening.
Excellent. We have Coach Marcus.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
And then we have, once again, back on Health as Well, Coach Brooks.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
All right. So as you guys see, the topic for tonight, what's up, my baby girl? You messing up my train of thought. And that is Zori Varner in the picture with Coach Marcus. Yes. So the topic tonight is toxic ambition. And we'll go a lot of different places with this, but we'll try to keep it light. But we'll start by just asking, how's everyone doing during the quarantine period? And how you guys holding up? How about you, Miss Lauren? How you doing during this quarantine period?
I have actually been pretty, personally, I've been pretty focused.
Amen.
Really been impacted though about, everything that's been going on in the world. And so
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that something higher than us, a divine power, is truly protecting, us to be intentional with this time,
Amen.
to get ready for our next. I think many of us have been afraid to step into it. And that
Amen.
this quarantine has caused us to take a good look at ourselves, to
Amen.
work on some areas that we've been, I think afraid to deal with. So I would say that
Mm.
this quarantine has really helped me see me, and I'm
Amen.
looking forward to my next. So
Amen. Amen. Good, good. How about you, Coach Marcus? How things going?
Oh man, things are going pretty well, man. Started off kind of rough at first.
Mm.
I was in the solar industry, doing sales. So when the pandemic hit, I was released from my job due to us having the limitations of being able to face-to-face contact with customers on a day-to-day basis.
Mm.
But other than that, great benefit of this time, man, is just getting that me time. Getting a chance to
Amen.
work out, meditate, do my yoga, spend time with my daughter. That
Amen.
she's 2 right now, so the time is ticking. As some of you might know, that has
Yeah.
so just taking this time, man, just enjoying it while I can, man.
Amen. Amen. Coach Eric, how about you?
It's been going well. I can't complain. I know a lot of other people out there that this pandemic has affected tremendously, financially and emotionally.
Yes.
Period. But me myself, I mean, it started off rough just because I was supposed to be starting up my new collab with the sales team,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next week, coronavirus hit and all the gym stores
Wow.
left. So,
Wow.
but
And they
thankfully,
filed bankruptcy.
still working at Amazon. So, still being able to have income is a blessing at this time. Unmute your mic, baby.
You're muted, brother. You're muted.
Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties.
Christian, you muted. You still muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm back.
yeah.
Sorry about that. But are you aware that Gold's filed bankruptcy?
No.
Yeah, they did. I'm aware that, of course, they have a lot of independent owners. So a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them
yeah.
aren't even owned by the original Gold's Gym anymore. So
Okay.
based on the owners and the management there, yeah, a lot of them are probably not going to reopen right away after this pandemic.
It's crazy. Like the largest franchise in the fitness industry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they definitely been talking about it in the bodybuilding world and talking about how they can revive it. It's a lot of rich guys, especially the guy that sold it. So he's talking about buying it back and bringing it back.
Okay. Coach Brooks, how about you? How you holding up?
Holding up good. I would say, since March 13th, that was my last day at work. I'm a teacher by trade. So I've been doing online with the kids since May 13th. Some of the seniors are finishing up this week, and they're going to do a virtual graduation. But what it's done for me, it's allowed me to focus more on my health and get things going where I can build consistency during this time,
Amen.
and then also working out, get my wife to also work out at least 3 to 4 days a week consistently with her as well, and then doing it when you do it with your spouse together, it helps out.
Yeah.
So I just been just staying on my health. I'm sticking by my thing where you 4% of the day. That's all you need. The 4% rule. That's a rule that a lot of people, when I post on social media, they like it, and they're trying their best to change their way of doing things and get and devote at least an hour to yourself with the 4% rule. Because it's not hard to do. So, I've been doing that and being consistent with it, and just spending time with my kids, getting ready to be a grandpop in July. So it's good. Life is
Hey,
good.
if you don't mind, could you go into a bit of what that 4% is?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. There was some background noise.
If you don't mind explaining, what is the 4% rule that you mentioned?
Oh, the 4%. I was right before the pandemic. I'll say typically over the last, I guess you could say over the last years as a coach, because I would coach football and wrestling, right? And as soon as we get in season, I would stop working out for myself. So then right before the pandemic and before I think last year, I would make sure after practice that I would go to the gym after practice. So the 4% rule, I just kind of fell up on that, where 4% of your day is only an hour. It's only an hour. I figured that if it's 24 hours in a day, if I can't give myself an hour for my health and wellness, then I'm doing something wrong. It's me. We should be able to give ourselves at least an hour of health and wellness. If we can't do that, then I feel as though that we're mismanaging our time and we're not a good manager of our time. That's how I came up with the 4% rule.
I like that. I like that. That's lit.
And I always put
That's
a number.
deep.
I say 4%. 4%. It's just an hour. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
I mean, that's how I feel. If you can't get in shape right now, then good luck. because you have nothing but time to eat healthy, to spend time with your family. And for myself, I said this to you before, Coach Brooks, that this has been a blessing for me and my family
Oh yeah,
because I haven't spent this much time with my wife since college.
yeah,
And to see your children all day and them not away at school and coming back and realizing how much they've grown and changed and their personalities and
yeah.
wow, it's eye opener, man. But
I
we
mean,
miss a lot and we don't realize it.
Yeah, I
nah,
totally second that. Yeah.
Yeah.
because like when you and I were coaching at Lincoln, and before I came to Lincoln, I was the 2 years I was coaching at Cheney. Even though I was a part-time football coach, still a full-time teacher. You figure I was working as a part-time coach, even at two Division II schools. I was working like I was full-time.
Yes.
It was 7 days a week, and I worked my regular job around that football because I wanted to coach. That's why.
Yes. You wanted it.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
sacrificed, you know, and that's why my wife, when she met me and I got into coaching, you know, she knew I was serious, and that wasn't something just to get out the house. It
Amen.
wasn't. It wasn't. It was dead being dead serious about it. And like I said, I still, you know, would love to, even though I'm back in the high school, but I would love to get to a Division I school and coach. I got my master's
Yeah.
now, so hey,
Okay. Go ahead and let the world know he's eligible.
yeah.
So, right, to kind of go back into toxic ambition, right? And this kind of conversation started with a few of my friends, but this being a room full of melanated people, my view in the conversation was I feel like our ambition has become toxic as a community. And there's a lot of ways to go with that.
Hmm.
Like, do we need to redefine what success is? Like, should we have a commonality or a baseline for success? Even though everyone is different, but collectively, to advance as a group of people, should our success have some common ground? I mean, what do you think?
I, th- I
Anyone?
I think we should have some common ground when it comes to success. I think a lot of times, like you said, our melanated people, we don't pick each other up and take each other for
Mm,
the ride. We don't take each other
mm,
for the ride. We have we have been divided so long that we
agree.
individualize everything.
Agree.
And it's like you supposed to reach one, teach one, iron sharpens iron. A lot of us don't have that mentality. We don't have that. We always
Agree.
had that. We have what a coach told me one time. He said you have the iPod mindset, and
Mm,
you got an iPod mindset, and we have to do a better job at building. Like, all right, what you're doing with your health fitness is awesome.
mhm.
I always track your videos. You are
Yes,
bringing
sir.
people. I showed my wife. I said, Christian, because my wife, because you met her, so you know her
Yes,
because she
sir.
knows you. But she also knows. I said, Christian has all types of body figures in his gym. He
Amen.
doesn't have the gold gym, Mr. Universe in there. He's got
Fact.
regular women, he got regular men and women with all different body types who have committed to making a change in their life to fix their health.
Mm.
You know,
Anyone else?
So I'm gonna jump in.
Come on.
And so there's some things I want to say, and I'll personally say this is my personal opinion. I don't want to speak on behalf of any entities or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm very passionate about, without going in detail of my background, is that I believe that there is a need to create bridges to access to resources.
Mm.
And so when we're talking about a situation of particularly communities of color, um, I believe that because of what has happened to us, I believe that there is trauma that exists in the Black and Brown communities that have created some barriers to access to such resources, right? I believe that many folks have been conditioned to complacency. Having grown up in an affluent Black community in a majority minority area, won't name it out, but I will say that. Um, I've been blessed for resources, but even still, there's something that has happened to me that allowed me to be conditioned to complacency, right?
Amen.
Um, some may even see, like in our younger generation, there's a development of entitlement, if I may say it that way too. And so, how do we go back from cultivating our communities, our especially our young people? I have three boys. I have a husband and three boys. That we move from giving them the fish, but then going back to teaching them how to fish, right? And that, as somebody just mentioned, we shouldn't be looking down on each other unless we're bringing each other up. But a lot of times, it's
That's
hard
right.
to pull dead weight if they feel like they're dead, right?
The
Not to go
frustration.
right. And so um I think that there's some healing that has to take place. But right now you see our communities right now are experiencing a tantrum, and
Yeah.
justifiably so, right? And so when you talk about us getting to a place of success as a community, as a people, we have to address the healing aspect first. We have to address what has happened. And I hope I answered the question, but it's just more like when we
That's
talk
good.
about being ambitious, I think it's great to have goals, but a lot of times we get weighed down because as much as we want to bring folks with us, the weight alone can kill us. And so then that's what I mean about having to go back to the foundation and teaching us how to heal so that we can be healthy relationships to then be able to grow in
Love
those
it.
areas.
Yes. Love it. Right on. I agree. How about you, coach? Coaches.
Uh, yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of what Lauren was saying. First thing first, it should always start with a form of healing. Just because we are not too far removed, and you can see as an incident that's happened with the young man George Floyd, that that mentality still exists in our world. It is a reality. So, with that being said, us as a people, we have to heal. We have to find a way to heal those war wounds of all the years of damage. And then once you do that, these people that are taking these steps to the next level, that have access to these higher powers, these other networks that a young man or a young woman or a young business owner or a kid who needs to be groomed and blossomed and put in these environments. Once you reach a certain level of success, you're in certain atmospheres as a Black person in this community, you have the right to come back and make sure everyone else knows about it. Now, if they use it now, that's on them. That's on them. But you are obligated to at least help that horse get to the water. But you cannot force him to drink.
Come on. Preach. Coach Erica.
Yeah, I mean that's the truth. I couldn't have said it no better than that. It's like,
Amen.
once you do get into a position of power where you can reach back and help people and kind of show them the way and help lead them into a way that they might not have seen on their own, that is our duty. Even myself, that's just how I am. Even, I'm sure that's how we all are. I know me and my brothers with all of our kids. We make sure they experience things that we weren't fortunate enough to experience at certain ages, you know. And healing is key because so many of us come from broken families and broken homes, and it started so much worse for us in our generation and our people of color. We got to start with the healing, man. And as you can see with George Floyd, we haven't made much progress that we need.
So So do you think we've made much progress
You mean
since, let's say,
I want to
let's
jump in
take a
on that.
time frame. Have we
As,
progressed
as far
since
as progress,
civil rights time?
no?
I
We have
think
progressed, yes. Yes, we
Okay.
absolutely have progressed. But are we where we need to be? No.
I don't.
I
I don't.
think
It's
I
not as
think we've
equal as
progressed
things need to be.
superficially.
Come again.
I think we've progressed superficially, and meaning
Build
by
on that.
that, I think we progressed on the visual side of things.
Mhm.
Like you see the fancy cars and the nice houses, and you might see a good chain. You know, it's a superficial type of elevation that we've reached as a world, and there's not really been much of a social gathering, a community, a spiritual community that's being growing. It's more of just a picture, Instagram image, um, a certain, I can't really explain, a certain way, that you think you're supposed to look and carry yourself.
Good.
I, I don't. I don't think. I don't think we've made. I don't think we made the progress. The same things that are being portrayed through video
Mhm.
because they've been killing black folks for years.
This ain't
Okay,
nothing new.
this ain't nothing new. It's just the fact that
Just got a
now
camera now.
you got a camera and everybody sees it. And they've been
Hmm.
killing black women, black kids, black men for years, for years, and nothing has changed. It's just that now we are in a technology age where we can capture these things, and now some people, when they see this visually, now they feel it's like, oh wow, is this still happening? Yeah, it's been happening. But sometimes we do have folks in that are black and brown folks who are still asleep, and some are woke and some are not woke. And
Or how
and
about the
we have to
ones
get
who may not be sleep? They are woke, but are afraid to wake others up because of the fear of lack of abundance.
Right.
yes, you'll have that. You'll have people who are woke who, when they do find a person that they can talk to,
Mhm.
who will be able to listen to what's going on. But we're
Mhm.
going to have folks who are going to, when you explain something to them, they have been so brainwashed
Condition.
and conditioned that they are not going to hear you. Either regardless of what you say and what you say and what you put in front of them, they have been so conditioned that they don't
Agree.
even see it. And that's why I said, when things, it's because if you go back to Deuteronomy 28,
Mm.
that's what we've been living in. We've been living in Deuteronomy 28 for all these years. And
Come on.
some people understand it and some people don't. That's why it's only going to be a remnant of certain people who are going to be actually understand what's going
Yeah.
on. And until we, as the nation that was born over here, okay, and scattered, until we all can get it together. And I don't know if I'm gonna see it in my lifetime.
Crip.
I hope my kids could get to see it. But if you believe in the Bible, or you follow the Bible, or you have some spiritual background because you've had an interaction, because
Mm.
sometimes I have to explain to people, if you never had an interaction, okay, if you never had a spiritual interaction,
Mhm.
then you don't know what I'm talking about.
Come
Because
on.
everybody has to get to that point on their own, by themselves, to get that interaction. But if you go back to the Bible, okay, Deuteronomy 28, that's what we've been living in for centuries. For centuries. And nothing
Mm.
has changed. The only thing that has changed is that you got these video cameras on the phones. Everybody can post to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything. Everything is captured. World Star. I mean, you if something's happening, it's getting posted. And that's how it is
Well,
now.
to build on what you said, about when you're trying to help someone and you're trying to enlighten them or share something with them,
You on mute?
No, you back on now.
No, he's still muted.
Nope, we can't hear you. Oh, say something now.
you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I got you.
Good. All right. So it's hard to share light with someone who may be in a dark place and you're sharing something with them that they don't fully understand. And I could say in my field, when I'm trying to change someone's diet and I tell them that they shouldn't eat certain things and they look at me like they're crazy
Right.
and they think I'm crazy. But you actually are trying to enlighten them and show them a better way. And with time, they begin to become aware that what you're saying is true and hopefully adapt to what you were saying and adopt a better lifestyle. But how do we use that in the political sense and in this social setting with trying to enlighten other melanated people about upper level of thinking and living and understanding money and credit and property and wealth, not riches, wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Two different things. Where do we go with that? How do you talk to a person that doesn't want to be talked to?
Sometimes you can't. I feel like because if somebody don't want to hear you, they're not gonna hear you. You
Right.
know, and that's prime example. You know, a lot of people I used to run with, and do certain
Mm,
things with. It's like now that I live a different life and do certain things differently, that are positive and better for us overall. They might not be ready to do that and make that step in
mm,
their life. And I can tell them, yeah, because I feel obligated because I've been there and I've done that. But some people, at the end of the day, if they're not listening and they're not willing to take something from what you're saying or
mm,
what you're trying to show them, then it really doesn't matter.
mm,
I think it's important to meet people where they are
mm,
and understanding that their time and their destination to change can only be on their time and destination that they are willing, able, and ready, which I say make war for, right? Um,
mm,
there's a lot of layers to many of the things that you guys have shared, and just trying to figure out how to say this in the best way to say it. Um, as we talked about, like something has happened to people, right? And as you mentioned, even with health and wellness, is like you tell us don't eat that, but then something in us goes back to our default. And it's
mm.
only until we get to a place of either inspiration or desperation that we can get to a place of opening our receptive to take that next step.
Agree.
I heard someone mention something about seeing, like, I guess fancy cars and things like that. What do you say to someone or you show someone, and while we may take it as they're just not going to change, if I never thought it was accessible to me in the first place, if I never
Mm.
thought that this was possible for my life, if all I've been seeing is quarter pounder with cheese is my upbringing my entire life, right?
Exposure.
So there's a word that you said. You have to raise someone's awareness, consciousness. And
Mm,
we're talking about that in
mm,
the area of health and wellness, but even when it comes to social and racial justice, many folks are unaware of how they live their race in life and society.
agree.
And
Agree.
I was one dealing a lot with a lot of internalized oppression because of my affluent upbringing. And I don't
Mm,
say that as a problem, but I do recognize where there were barriers created to protect me from certain things,
that's right.
right? But here's the other piece that we as people of color need to understand. And an activist by the name of Audre Lorde said this: for the
Mm.
master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. You got to
Come on.
understand, putting it in the perspective of COVID, we are fighting a virus that we cannot see. Okay.
Mm,
Yet everyone is staying at home, or people are making the decision to go out and take their risks, right? But at the end of the day, it's their choice. But it still
mm-hmm.
doesn't, whether they go out and party or they stay home, the virus is still there. That's the same
Mm.
thing with racism,
That's
right?
right.
It's
That's right.
structural. It's structural. It's systemic. It has been built in the fabrics of laws and policies and so many different things. It started with an individual view that turned to a cultural ideology that was then allowed to
Mm-hmm.
be written into law and documentation, right? And so when we
That's
talk
right.
about raising awareness, people got to understand the power of their votes. People have to raise their awareness in the power of their voice. People have to understand
Come
that
on.
have the platform. We have to change narratives. So you talk
Mm-hmm.
about the individual from the streets or whatever, but there's a narrative that was written by that larger entity that we need people and allies
Mm.
to combat and change so that people then can get those folks a seat at the table. So now we're talking about inclusivity. So even though yes, I don't, I'm not ready or whatever you're trying to give me, make me feel like I can have a seat at the table before you
Mm.
start shoving the food down my throat or shoving what I need at me. And I'm not saying that it's not bad. Like, yeah, we need BAM juice, right? We need health and wellness. But I
Mm-hmm.
gotta first get to a place where I believe that I
That's
can
right.
sit at this table. And
That's
sometimes
right.
it takes us creating the space. And like I love,
Right.
Christian, what you're about and what you do because you bring wellness to people
Amen.
and you bring it to them where they are and you help us believe we can actually accomplish this when we thought it was
Amen.
impossible, especially when things have happened to us, particularly like look around us, look at the body of black and brown people are crying out right now because
Mm.
America has happened to us, right? And
Yeah.
the reason I say that is who is helping us to get a seat at the table so that our voice is being heard, so that we
Mm.
don't have to do it kicking and screaming, you know? I look at when you
I
get me to
love
do
it.
them
I
suitcase
agree.
crunches, right? You're meeting me where I am. You're meeting me where I am. And that one
Yeah.
suitcase crunch could then turn into 10 and then 20 and then 40. So I think that's important to understand. And the reason I use that quote about for the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house, we can't use the same tools that were created to oppress and suppress us to
Come
be
on.
able to set us free and to make
Now
us
you
live a
talking.
better life. And so that's what I mean
Yes.
about as a people, we got to find out what's going to help us as a people get to a place of healing and wellness, then to be able to hold each other's hands and go and grow.
Mm.
Hey, I
Hold
I
on. Hold on.
I
I
like
got
I
something
like
for that. Hold on. Hold on. I got.
uh,
Right on. Right on. We're gonna
Brother.
work on the sound effects.
hey,
But go ahead,
could I
Coach.
but I agree with Lauren said, and I'm going to use myself as an example, like I do with my kids in
Mm.
school, my own kids that I have, and I'm gonna use myself as an example. Um, I got to the point of desperation. Okay,
Mm.
I called Christian after Thanksgiving. I'm a type 2 diabetic for the last 20 years. Okay, I'm 51 years old. I've been dealing with type 2 diabetes for over 20 years. I called
Mm.
him because I was at a desperation mode. Okay. He told me what he did for his mom. Everything that I've done was ineffective. It did not last. Uh, I would go 4, 5, 6 months doing great, but it wasn't where it should be. So
Mm.
I was at desperation. I was desperate, and I was desperate enough to go straight and dive in. And this is the same thing I explain to people when they find out that I went full vegan. I told them I had to go full vegan because that was my grind. My grind gonna be different
That's
than
right.
your grind. But I was at a
Yeah.
desperate mode. I was desperate. And Christian wanted to and we had to do this long distance. And I was totally committed to doing this long distance. And I did it. And he was even going to like wean me off stuff. I said, no, we ain't doing the wean off. We're going straight 2 feet in, cold turkey. You give me this knowledge. I'm going to be a sponge and I'm going to absorb everything you give me. So basically, I had to be at a point where I was going to be receptive to hearing what he was giving me that would change my life. And that's the same thing when we're trying to enlighten folks. they have to also be at a position where they're ready to receive what you are about to give them. And that's, and
Yep.
that's where they have to be at. That's where I was at my point with my health. I was ready to receive. I've been full vegan now. I'm almost 2 years full vegan. Almost 2 years.
God is good.
I do not miss anything that I did before that
Amen.
was bad for my health. Because then
Amen.
while getting with Christian, I had to start. He got me into telling me, hey, you're gonna have to read some labels.
Yep.
Start eating,
Yep.
start eating raw. Start doing research to find out
That's
how
right.
these foods affect you, who is a type 2 diabetic. You got to start learning how your glycemic index increases based on food you eat. I had to look at it from a different angle, you know. I had to look at it from a different angle with him, because now he's showing
That's
me
right.
you're gonna have to dig deep now. You're gonna have to expand your horizons. That's why it's always
That's right.
so crucial. It's so crucial for you to always try to create individuals in your circle who know
Yep.
more than you. You need people
Yes.
in your circle who know more than you. If you only got people in your circle who you are more superior than them, then they're not going to help you
Write that
grow
down something for me, guys.
going forward. You know, they're
No,
not
that's
going to help you
real.
grow.
I mean, I mean, this conversation, just health and wellness alone. I mean, you guys kind of know how I feel. Like health is life. Like health is the real wealth, not fiat, not paper, not digits on a bank slip. Like if you got all the money in the world, but you don't have your health, you can't even enjoy it properly. Or if you're alone, like you can be fit in every way. Fitness is not like being in the gym. When you hear the word fit, people think, oh, working out, lifting weights. No, you can be fit spiritually. You can be fit mentally. Like you should be sharp in all of those areas. And we talk about holistic health, and I think a lot of the answers that we're talking about, like socially in this climate, we can make simple by using health and wellness and like comparing the two, like we just talked about, changing a person's diet, like enlightening them about what they can do to live a healthier lifestyle and how easy it is and how possible it is. But we got to have that same encouragement. And when it comes to economics, when it
Right.
comes to credit, when it comes like marriage, relationships, sharing the tools that got you. Let me tell you something. I can't stand when someone has a house but everyone they know don't have a house. That's a problem for me, because that means that they bought a house, they know the process, and didn't
Mm,
sit the whole family down to go through
mm,
how to buy a house. Now, how many black people do that? Got one person who own a house in a family and everybody else don't. See, what you're doing is you flexing. You're not
right.
trying to enlighten, you flexing
That's
on your
right.
own people.
Flexing.
And that's two
Yep.
different things. See, I can't stand that. That's fake help. We're not going to do fake help. That's like these procrastinating fake trainers who want to sell you diet plans that don't work. And they know diets don't work. That they're going to tell you do something that they don't do themselves.
That's
Right.
right.
That's what we have a lot in our community. We have misguided information and we sending people on these wild goose chases when we know it's very simple. When it's very simple. So, you know, bringing it around health and wellness and talking about social issues, to me, they go hand in hand, because I personally feel like the more you love yourself, the less likely you are to hate someone else. Because it's
That's
really
right.
just self-hatred. Why you want to hurt someone else? Why you don't want someone else to have what you have? Why you don't want to see the person who looks like you have? It's because you don't love yourself. You didn't look in the
That's
mirror
right.
this morning and say, man, I love you. I love you so much. I'm gonna go on this run. I'm gonna work out, and then the next brother I see who look like me, I'm gonna make sure I speak to him, talk to him, shake his hand, and try to have a conversation, right?
Hmm.
Because that takes a lot of energy. It when you're pouring spiritually, when you're giving, it's like it's draining. But what
Hmm.
else are you here for? If it's only for you and you're the only one they got, then you don't have nothing. And we talking wealth. See, black people, melanated people, because I hate to use that word. I feel like
Right.
a lot
Right.
of us are raised with a rich mindset, and rich is different than wealth, because you got a lot of fools who are rich. When you're wealth, you're passing on generational wealth. That means there are people who are benefiting from something someone did 4 generations before you, right?
Hmm.
These people, there are people around you who are not more talented than you. They have something because 4 generations ago someone sacrificed for them. So you basically just starting a race. And that's what we talk about, a system, like a system that has been created in America that has you trying to pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you don't have access to capital that other people have access to. You don't have the ability to go in a bank and leverage debt against a property that your grandfather gave you that's worth $4 million, right? So we don't have that because we don't know that talk. When you're talking about equity, when you're talking about things that are assets and not liabilities, we love liabilities. We love to buy cars that are the worst things. We love to buy jewelry and chains and diamonds. We're talking about assets, right? We like to buy liabilities that are depreciating constantly and spend all our money on it. Or we'll buy a house that's too big that we can't even put furniture in. Who are you trying to impress? People that don't like you anyway, they're going to talk about you anyway as soon as they leave. They're going to talk about the color of the paint on your wall. So it's a social thing. And social media has kind of, I feel like, accelerated an issue that we see something and we think is success. The problem for me is our children have to have new people they identify as the heroes. I love LeBron James. I love all of these guys. But what I'm trying to tell you is just because you dribble a basketball don't mean you can lead my community. Just because you can catch a football or throw a football, Lamar Jackson, don't mean you can lead my community. Because let me tell you something. There are people who sit on the Supreme Court who are in political positions who have fought tooth and nail their whole lives and come from generations like that. You don't even know that.
Christian, you cut off.
You on a roll, brother, but we can't hear you.
You got cut off on that
he
one.
He is going for it.
Hey, look, he's still going.
He is going for it. We can't hear you, brother.
Oh, I'm so.
You was preaching.
We see you going in though. We see you.
Hold on, y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
I hear you now, but part of the
oh man, my bad. But what I was saying was, what I was saying was,
stop at Lamar. You stopped at Lamar.
Yeah, it starts with the kids. Like, what are they idolizing? Like, we're looking at sports and we rush home to do it. But most people haven't even read the Bill of Rights. Most people don't even know the amendments. Like, most people don't even know simple things. You don't know what laws have been passed. You don't know what president was in there when they passed that law. You don't know how the prison population got the way it got, with majority African Americans being in the population, and we're the minority in the country. How does that happen? What president brought that in? When did that law become available? Like, again, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. You don't know how you got to the state you are. You don't know why you wake up and don't like yourself. You don't know why you don't have no money in your bank account and you just fiend for bad habits. There's been a game played on you psychologically, right? It's self-hatred. And that's why I firmly believe that fitness is an answer, because when you start to work out, you feel different. You feel better about yourself. You look at yourself in a different way, and everything changes. When you become healthy inside, outside changes, and you start to realize like the result of your workout is the byproduct of what's happening spiritually. Because when one thing you know, when you work out to the fullest of your ability and everything is exhausted, there's this moment where you're gonna want to quit and you ain't got nothing but God. And you know he the only one that got you through that workout. And the more you can rehearse that relationship with him, the stronger it becomes. It's just a spiritual exercise. That's all it is. And if I got to call it fitness and working out to hide that, to give God to you, that's fine. But I'm going to show you there's a power in you that you have no clue that's there. And you could do anything and everything. Like this whole financial economic thing, like it's the same thing as fitness. It's fitness economically. It's fitness like in a different way. But we have to build these kind of communities like we do in fitness. You go to the gym, you work out with your buddy. So now you should be having a meeting on Saturdays about what company are we acquiring? What business are we starting this? Why are you getting paid pennies on the dollar for your talent and your gifts when you could create your own business and keep all the profits? And how about build a brand that in 20 years has equity, that your children can go get a house and leverage debt against something that you use the talent God gave you to build your own thing, right? That's what this pandemic has done. It's even the playing field. It showed people what's fake and what's real. Now you know who really doing this fitness stuff and not. Oh, you know now, because you can't hide at Gold's Gym behind all those weights and all this pretty stuff. Oh, it was fun. Now we even. But see, we at HHT, see, selfish plug. We've been doing workouts outside. We really bought this life. right? Like this what we do every single
And
day.
we was built with no weights, no weight room.
No,
Cut it out.
Mm-hmm. Cut off again.
It's the passion again. We see it. We can't hear it. We see it. We can't hear it. It's the passion again.
run.
Still can't hear you.
No, still can't hear me.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
There you
Yes.
go.
Am I there?
Yes.
Yeah, you
I think it's when I don't push a button for a while. I'm learning this thing. We're gonna get it right because the next one we do is gonna be flawless.
hey,
But the pandemic exposed what people really should be doing anyway: getting outside, exercising, fresh air, sunlight, spending time with your family, homeschooling. Like these are the answers to your problem, Black community. You're experiencing it right now. See how your kids excel when mom and dad is at home pouring it in. When I'm giving economic lessons to my children and I'm using my
We can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear
cut
you.
off again.
We heard when you're giving it to your
We froze.
children.
Is it
Yeah,
frozen?
give it to the kids. You at home. Black people, this is the problem.
I'm here now.
And yes,
Am I here?
our son goes to a collective.
Come
We
on.
know about that. So yes.
Come on. But it's real. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what this pandemic is showing us. For me, and I can't speak for other people, it's really the answer to a lot of the problems in the Black community is that you
Fact.
need to take your family and its education and its economics into your own hand, and you need to go in your bag, start you a business or homeschool, or like start to like really spend time with your family, get healthy emotionally, mentally, read more, go for walks in the morning, like do all the things you don't have time to do when you ripping and running for this
Right.
company that's paying you pennies on
Yeah.
the dollar. That's my opinion.
Hey, you know what I like that you showed me when you went with this journey with me, is showing
Mhm.
me how to jot down everything,
Mm.
because I still got that. I still have my notebook. And I remember when you was telling me, you was like, yo, as you go through this journey, I want you to write down trauma. And I remember I laughed and I said, what the heck you trauma? Because when I think of trauma, for me, I'm thinking something very traumatic. I want you to think of trauma as something that would affect you, that would cause you to make a drastic change in your eating habits. And I was like, and then I start writing stuff down. So I had a meeting, I think, with a principal, and we were meeting, and I think I told you I had jot that down. Had a meeting with the principal. She was this, that, and the third, and whatever. And I started understanding how to jot down your emotional state on paper. And then what I also noticed is that while I was going through this journey that I'm still going through, as I was recording my blood sugar levels and seeing where good levels versus bad levels, and then seeing the path where they were going, that the key to my success was having things written down. So when we start talking about what we're going to do as far as fix our finances and everything, we have to put things in writing. That we got to write it down. If we don't write it down, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But when we put something in writing, we actually force ourselves to commit to making this thing happen. You know.
I agree. Anyone else? Am I muted again?
No, no, you
Oh,
open.
I wanted to comment briefly. I mean, not to go left to go right.
yeah.
There's something that and I can't remember the gentleman's name. Coach had just said, even in the sense when you talked about having him write down trauma, And then he mentioned something about a definition of what he thought trauma was. I'm going somewhere with that, I promise you. And I think that it's important to understand trauma is what happened to you, what has happened to you, what you have gained accustomed to in some ways. Without going into detail about my job duties and my background, I used to work in high security prison for several years. And, we saw things, we saw code, we saw rights, we saw things, right? And you became accustomed to the day to day, right? It was your norm, your new norm. So if your upbringing has been, well, we know that, auntie gonna make them chitlins, and we know auntie passed of heart disease and diabetes. It's just a part of our life. It's a way of our being. That's traumatic.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's something that has happened to you and that we create as our default to keep ourselves protected, if I may say.
Yeah.
Not going into the clinical route.
Mm-hmm.
But, in trauma, you learn how to disassociate, or you learn how to protect yourself. So I think it's powerful that you had him write down trauma and raise his awareness of what was happening to him, right? To then be able to use the tools given to him
That's right.
to combat that thing, and understand that it didn't have to be his, but that it was there, and he could actually then heal from it, right? You didn't have to own that. You didn't have to own that. So I just thought
That's
that
right.
was really powerful. So yeah.
Amen. Agree. Coaches, anything? No. You look like you wanted to say something, Coach Erica. I don't want to stop you.
Nah, I definitely agree though. I definitely agree.
We're part.
Trauma, man, trauma.
Nah, but usually, like in fitness, what I usually look for is like habits, and usually from experience, I learned that people's habits and working out will show up in a different place in their life. So like inconsistency, working out and eating healthy shows itself in your spiritual relationship,
Definitely.
your relationship with your spouse. Like
Mm-hmm.
a dedicated person who is consistent will be that in everything. That's who they are. And that's something we gotta, well, because we're talking about this holistically. I'm saying my children, I try to teach that to my children. The qualities you want to look for in friends, and hopefully they take that into looking for a mate, is consistency, dedication. Like a person who works hard is something. They're going to be that person as something else,
Yeah.
right? They may not be who they're gonna be. They may not be who they gonna be now, but they will get there. Just hang on, ride the roller coaster with them. They're gonna get there. And when you're working out, you see a person slowly develop those habits of dedication, consistency, and always it shows itself in another part of their life.
Yeah.
Whether it be restoration of relationships, more spiritual activities, meditation, church, more time at the mosque, whatever it may be, that health part of it, when you working out, activates something in you. And I call it the Holy Spirit.
The
But
consistency
people
spills
call it what they want to call it.
Right.
the consistency spills over into every aspect of your life.
Yeah. Like working out for me, it's like going to church. It's a spiritual experience. I am experiencing the Holy Spirit. I can do things that I could not do in that hour or two until I get in that spirit. And I can do anything. I go to a place mentally that I know I could do that in any area of my life if I want to.
Right.
I just have to train my mind to know that's the Holy Spirit. And I can use that in anything. It's available to you at all times. So when you're about to quit at 45 minutes and there's 15 minutes left and you hang on and you finish, that is going to show itself in another challenge in life. And if you stop and you quit, it ain't the workout, it's what it did to your mind. It put like it connected neural pathways to quitting. And when things get tough, you're gonna run, you're gonna
Yep.
walk away, you're
Nope.
gonna quit, you're gonna have an excuse
Yep.
because that's what you do,
Yeah. A lot
right?
of people
So
do that.
yeah,
A lot of
but
family members do that who are probably some of the biggest people who
mm,
we deal with that sometimes hurt us the most because they quit on things. You
yeah,
know, they quit on
yeah,
things, and we're tied to them because we are family. We're tied to them, you know, through blood and everything.
yeah,
And they are probably the biggest culprits when it comes to quitting on relationship with
mm,
you, which causes more trauma than anything.
mm, mm. Now I find it strange to if somebody could research it. We on the internet. Who suffers from the highest obesity rates in America? We know the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, diabetes,
Yep.
high blood pressure,
Yep.
all preventative diseases. Usually, those things go hand in hand with single parent homes, divorce,
Yep.
like relationship issues,
Yep.
because it's a self love issue.
That's right.
That's all it is.
Yep.
That's
Because
why, for me, the black community has to take health more serious. It's an
yeah,
easy step, but it's a simple first step.
yeah. But you got to get them. You got all right. We got to get people because we know the saying. People who are hurt other people. Okay,
Fact.
we
Agree.
know this happens. People who are hurt, people who are not happy with themselves, they hurt others because they
Agree.
don't love themselves first, and they have to
I agree.
learn how to love themselves. The same way when I talk to the young men, and they know I'm married. They know I've been married for 23 years. They know I got 3 kids. And but when I'm talking to them, and a lot of the men, young boys, they don't have father figures in their life, or it's a broken relationship. So a lot of times I have to talk to them, and I have to show them what male intimacy is on an
Mm.
emotional level, because that's something that they're lacking. Male
Woo.
intimacy. And then that's the part where I have to work with them on. Is it a barrier I got to get through? Because if they see a man coming at them who cares about them, that's trying to school them, are they
Mhm.
going to be apprehensive first because their hatred is to a man that has not shown them love?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
then
it.
once I'm able to peel that layer back, and they'd be like, "Oh, Coach Brooks," or Mr. When I'm in school, it's Mr. Brooks. Coaching is Coach Brooks. But when they feel that, oh, he that boy, he looking out for me. Same way I had a kid today. He texts me. He's a senior. He's 20 years old. He texted me today, and I told him, I said, "You trying to make me cry?" He was like, "I just want to let you know that I'm so happy that you helped me. I'm graduating." And
Amen.
say you're the best teacher I had in the school in Penwood. And he's 20,
Amen.
and I was able to convince him to get done as soon as possible, as fast as possible. And I always tell people, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Mm.
That's
That's
right.
the
Come
biggest
on.
thing, because all these kids are going through some sort of trauma. And I keep telling them, and the biggest thing with some of our black kids, they will throw in the towel
Quick.
at the first sign of any kind of adversary, uh, obstacle. They
Soon
will
as they
throw
get
in the towel
difficult.
soon as it gets rough. And yes, just like Lauren said, dealing with, I deal with kids in the school system who they believe that they are entitled.
Mm.
A lot of them have young parents. A lot of their parents are not the same age as me, and I'm only 51. And some of their parents are in their 30s, early 40s. And some of these kids are very entitled to everything. And they don't know what it is to deal with, a little bit of adversity in their life. They shut down,
Mm.
you know. But
So
it's peeling back the layers. Peeling back the
so
layers.
then that's a conflicting argument because those who have come from affluent backgrounds and families who had a little bit more economic promise or access
Hmm.
may raise
We lost you. We lost you. We lost you. We lost you. We lost you.
Missed it. May what? They may what?
They made what?
Nope.
Still muted, brother. Still muted.
am I there?
Yeah,
There you
Now,
now.
now we can hear you.
They may raise children who don't want it as bad, who
Right.
don't have the work ethic. They may have seen it, but don't know how to go get it.
Mm.
Like someone who may come from less or had a mentor who have the drive and the work ethic to have something they'd never experienced. You dig what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Yes, yes.
Like I mean, it's an argument. I'm not agreeing with either side, but are we saying that successful melanated communities are creating children who are less ambitious? Is that what you're saying?
No, I wouldn't say
I wouldn't
that
say less
I wouldn't
ambitious.
say less
Mm-hmm.
ambitious though, but I would say
So
that.
what you saying?
So I would say sometimes
exactly what
certain
we say.
through my experience, through my experiences, I would say that some, not all,
Some,
because I know
some but
some,
not all.
not all, right? Because I know some who have come from affluent backgrounds who
Amen.
will get their knees, elbows dirty,
Me and you
just like
both.
the next one, like they ain't had nothing. But I do know
Yes.
some who don't understand a strong work ethic, who don't understand
Mm.
that because nobody has shown them. Nobody has shown
Question.
them.
To go back to what Lauren said about them allowing us a seat at the table, is it time for us to say we don't need a seat at the table? Let's have our own table.
Yeah,
At times, I
because
think, yeah,
we got to remember we
Was the
got
table
another.
designed for you to have a seat?
it
No,
wasn't.
hell no, it wasn't designed. The table, this whole
I'm just
system was
asking
not. Is
We
not
gotta stop
designed
making
for
tables,
us.
like you said.
because even if they let you sit at the table,
They
will
don't
it
be
be a
treated like
stoop
they
that's a
gonna
little bit lower than there, where
right.
you at the table like this, looking at them
Well,
in a
that's not
chair, like
inclusion.
thank you for letting me sit here.
Well, that's not
Right,
inclusion. That's
Not
diversity.
inclusion.
That's
Right,
I
right,
let
right,
you come to the party, but you don't get to choose the music. You feel me?
right.
right,
And,
right.
and that's why so
Agree.
many of us are crying out right now all across the
The,
United
the
States.
reality is this: we are in America. We carry American passports.
That's right.
We have been identified as America. That is our table more than
Yep.
theirs. We probably made it, cut the wood,
I'm about to say, there you
You
go.
already know.
made
You
it.
already
Okay.
know.
And so when we talk about creating our own, that is our table.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of realizing that we are going to have allies
Mm.
to dismantle the barriers that has
I
been
agree.
for getting to our thrones, getting to the
Yes.
that were already there for us to be there in the first place. And
Right.
it's
I agree with you.
how to do that. I did want to say something. I didn't want to change the subject because I
Go
want
ahead.
since I have my coaches here.
Flow
And
with it.
I'm not necessarily a coach of health and wellness. I'm a coach in terms of leadership development and cultivating folks.
You got your stripes.
And I have an extensive background more on the other side of the table. I was in a
Hmm.
form of law enforcement for a very long time,
Hmm.
probation, parole, and just being a mother of three boys. Okay,
Hmm.
the reason I want to ask this because we talk about the power of health and wellness, but you hear me constantly use the word about access. And
Mm.
having grown up affluent background, but now being a working government employee, we're raising my husband and I, we're
Mm.
raising boys. We even in such an affluent area as what we live in, recognize the difficulties of having access to getting our boys into health and wellness things. It costs an arm and a leg. And yes, I understand you got to sacrifice because people buying Jordans and people doing this. Some of us are trying not to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. And
Fact.
so we are making sacrifices, which then takes away our time, right?
Mm.
So growing up, when I grew up, we had coaches that would pick up our kids. We had
Hmm.
people. We still have those individuals.
I'm a product of those kind of coaches.
They're cutting funding, they're cutting programs. Our youngest son is in a collective for the reason of taking that our community, teaching him about his culture and his heritage, and being able to have that access. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I made that decision. But it's like, what about everyone else? I think about those kids I had on probation that were amazing, but because of the lack of resources,
That's it.
them into programs that they should be the next person D1 playing. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, I'll put it out
I
there.
agree.
Commonwealth, okay? I was like one of the only chocolate chips in the cookie dough. So,
Yeah.
but yet my caseload looked just like me and then some. And so when I think about these things, you know, when we talk about creating our own, that's my
Mm-hmm.
desire right there. Continue
Mm.
to create programs. I'm excited what Kevin Durant has done, over
Yes.
center. I'm excited, but being able to create that stream of access, right?
Mm.
Now look at this. This is the thing that's heartbreaking to me. Yes, us as adults are afforded, and even kids can do it too, because I've seen your kids on there, but just the lack of
Amen.
access to be able to access something like this for kids, right? Some of them can't get
Yes.
computers from the school anymore.
Yeah.
I think about the youth, like we have friends who are teachers in Baltimore City, right? Like I'm hoping that the numbers of, making sure they're getting food and now, hasn't gone tremendously up, right? I don't know those details, but what I'm saying is creating access
Mm.
so that we can teach these young people how to fish, that they're not spending all day on these games playing Fortnite and
Agree.
2K, watching YouTube of somebody playing a fake game. Like,
I know that's crazy. That drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy.
so then how do we, you see what I'm saying? When we talk
Yes.
about building legacies and trying to dismantle the barriers that are perpetuating the generational curses that exist on our people, how do we respond to that call?
Mm.
Mm,
That's good.
that's good.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's good stuff there. That's good stuff.
I mean, like you said, access. Even it it creates a barrier for a melanated business or African American to have programs that almost are for free because that business probably doesn't have the access to capital that white business does, so they can't afford to have free programs.
Right.
That's more than likely the case. So he would have to charge a little bit more to have quality programs and pay higher rent rates, and which other people are not, because we know it's about networking. A lot of
Hmm.
times it's just who you know, and if you know
Who
the
you
right
right?
people, they won't even charge you.
Right.
And as we get to that, that's something we need to know too. Network. So many of these athletes go to these big colleges and these schools and they never use the network. But more importantly than that piece of paper, I have learned, is your network.
Yeah.
And if you go to these schools and you're not a jerk and you're a good person,
Right.
you
Yeah,
could call anyone from that school
that's right.
and they will open the door for you.
That's right. I
And that's
tell the
how you start to give access to those kids who can't afford to go to University of Maryland, to Virginia University, by using your network and making those people open the door for you, and you bring
Mhm.
others with you. I mean, myself and my brother and sister, Coach Eric and Marcus, we've taken kids from Baltimore to University of Maryland every summer in our camps. And some of these kids never left Baltimore. But they walk on that campus and they like, I can't believe I could go here for free. And I'm like, yeah,
Mm,
you can. It's a business, right? If you play that sport well, you bring us university money. Guess
yep.
what? You can go here for free, but you can get that degree. But bigger than the degree, you can have access to a network worth billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's the real wealth in it.
Yep.
You know,
Networking.
some
Who you know.
Yep.
I think it's also more than networking, and it's something that you
Mhm.
said, and it was interesting because I speak in a women's group earlier this week, and I was reminded about Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you,
Mm.
says the Lord, plans to prosper
Mm.
you, not to harm you. But the piece that I thought and never really is set to me, plans to give you hope.
Mm.
And even though you're talking about networking, it sounds like that you guys also gave them access to hope. And it's funny that God would say that we need that he has to plan to give us that
Amen.
just because of that moment you just said. And so
Amen.
that's powerful in itself too. So
Mm.
yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's good stuff there. Because access to hope, because the kids that I have in my program in the public school, they are in a credit recovery. My oldest kid is always going to be 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my oldest kid every year, I'm going to have at least 3 to 4 of them who are 20, who I am making sure that they do not drop out, because the older the kid gets and the longer he stays in high school, the more likely they are to drop out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
and I am blessed to be able to give them some hope, to that they can get high school completed and be able to say, hey, I got me a high school diploma. Now I'm going to try to see what else is it that I want to do in my life, what direction do I want to go. But I'm telling you, you got to get dirty, you got to meet the kids where they're at, and you got to be able to run with them
Agree.
and their family from where they're at, because sometimes you're going to encounter families who are broken, families who have
More than likely.
a generational curse on them, where people who don't finish high school, you're
Yeah.
going to have all that stuff. And and just like we said, we got to meet people where they're at. The same way when I be telling, when I be listening to pastors and listening to evangelists and people who are
Mm-hmm.
ministers, a lot of times they try to act like they're holier than thou, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
meet people where they're at. And then that's why people get turned off at congregating at churches, because folks don't meet them where they're at. That's
Mm.
the whole thing.
Mm.
So,
So we done touched on a lot, but toxic ambition. I mean, in a nutshell, what are we ambitious for? What is ambition? Right? Like,
It's
what is
strong
what
desire,
is success for
determination.
you? Go ahead. Go ahead, Erica.
Are you saying what is it for us personally? Just ambition?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, what is success for you? What is ambition?
Well,
Like,
ambition
what does
is
that
your
mean?
desires, your determination. How hard you willing to push. For me, that's ambition.
Mm-hmm.
For
Anyone
me,
else?
I sum it up, and this is why I said about being very intentional with this time, with
Mm-hmm.
myself and getting to know myself. I sum up success in 5 pillars: uh, the
Come
ability
on.
to claim my story, the ability to share my journey,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to take hold of my dreams. Because a lot of times when things happen to us, we stop dreaming.
Mm.
And then to seek out then my purpose and my mission, which is then hopefully that it's helping someone else to help save their life, right? And then therefore, like biblically speaking, to live out my legacy. That whatever
Mm.
it is that I'm doing or anything that you're doing with your purpose, it inevitably has to help someone else be the best version of themselves. And that's how we
Mm.
continue to go and grow, right? Not only as individuals, but as a people, as a community, as a family. And so that is what success is for me. When you say
Amen.
ambition, I actually see that as a dirty word. I actually see it as a curse word. I actually see it as a negative. I think people who are ambitious are unstable. I hate to say that way.
Now we talking.
Ambitious, that means you're going to do whatever it takes to get wherever you believe you need to be. And
Mm.
most likely that ambition has been set by someone else's narrative on your life. Oh, you needed to be
Nah.
a lawyer. Oh, you needed to, you need that 4-year degree. You needed that. When you have the skills and the ability to build buildings, right? Or whatever, but just needing the right person to help you learn how to fish, teaching you
Mm.
that you need to put in your toolbox and using them to build your legacy that God has divinely downloaded in you.
That's right.
I think that's what's
she going into Proverbs now. She going into Proverbs.
Just
Oh,
look,
them Proverbs now.
Preach.
Proverbs.
Come on.
Plans in the minds of man,
Going,
but only God's purpose will stand. Proverbs 19:21. And I say
yep,
that
see,
because I
going to
tried
the
to go
Proverbs.
the direction where I thought I was supposed to be, but God had other plans for me. And
Yep.
so
Mm.
I'm grateful. That's why I said when you talk about
Amen.
toxic ambition, I see it on a daily. And I think that it destroys people. When you
So
are
basically,
yeah. No,
they're the same. Toxic ambition.
that's how I see it.
Ambition is toxic
That's how I've seen it.
because ambition is birthed from what? Lust.
So be for a lust of fame. And I
Oh.
can't remember the Proverbs chapter, but we are not supposed to lust or want to be like those individuals who may be doing wrong. I can't remember what number that is, but because Proverbs, if you read Proverbs, Proverbs hit you with a lot of stuff. Proverbs hit you with a whole lot of blueprint on how to do things. And I'm telling you, I read Proverbs probably more than once, a whole chapter. But each time that I would go into it, you get a new revelation. You get a whole new revelation of things that you can use right now. So, like right now, I don't know. Like I would say my ambition with I don't think my ambition right now is toxic when it comes to being a full vegan. Full vegan almost 2 years because my ambition was I gotta control type 2 diabetes. I gotta control that. I gotta beat it. That's my goal. That's my legacy. I have to beat that thing. So I don't think my ambition towards my health is toxic because I'm still keeping things in perspective. I know a lot of times my wife would joke with me and I would say, "Hey, is that something vegan? Is that vegan?" And she was like, "Bruh, everything we buy in here is vegan. So you can stop asking me is something vegan, okay? Because because I would hear that. I would say, "Hey, is that vegan?" And she's like, "Bruh, it's vegan. Okay, stop. Everything we eat in here is vegan. Everything." So, but my I don't think I'm toxic when it comes to my health. I think I'm very
Amen.
ambitious because I don't want to be sick no more. I don't want to have because this runs in my family.
Yeah.
Cancer, type 1, type 2, lupus. All these things run in the family and my family are stricken by these things and I mean it be whipping people's ass, you know? Literally.
But
I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, whipping tail,
amen.
whipping tail.
Amen.
So, you know, I just think, I know things could turn toxic if they're not properly managed. If they're not
Good.
properly managed,
That's perspective.
it could turn toxic. But I think it all comes down to how we manage whatever it is that we're going after.
Amen. Coach. Coach Marcus.
No, I just was gonna basically just piggyback off of what the other coach was just talking about. I wouldn't say ambition would be considered toxic. Because if you do your research, you look up the definition of what ambition is. Ambition is a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. So if those are the attributes of what it takes to be ambitious, um, depending on what your perspective is, I don't think it could be considered toxic. But if you're ambitious towards a toxic goal, then yes, you will have toxic ambition.
You got 5 minutes until bedtime. me just say, I definitely hear that perspective, and I'm very
Yeah.
receptive. I do agree, and I also see the piece about being ambitious to something that may be toxic. I believe,
Uh-huh.
though, you can be ambitious to something that doesn't appear toxic, but how you go about getting it can be toxic. And so, the one part about your definition where you mentioned about a strong desire to do something, I believe that the toxicity in ambition can be rooted in your desire. Like,
Mm.
in that place, that there's where the toxicity lies. It's like, what are you,
Agree.
getting your energy of, like your passion from? You know what I mean? You have,
Agree.
we've seen it in history with leaders who had the desire of being the best, whether it's the best country or the best race or whatever it is.
Mm.
And while the intention is to have pride in that, it was rooted in something that was very dark and
Mm.
distorted in terms of, you see what I'm saying? And so I think that even in that definition, my thing would be when you say strong desire, what's the root and what
Fact,
fruit is
fact,
coming from that desire?
fact, fact. I
S-
agree.
s-
I agree.
Side note, I recently had that conversation with my wife, and this is something I'm experiencing in my growth as a man. And when you come from trauma as a child, you're kind of like an alchemist. You use that negativity and you change it into something positive. And every time somebody tells you no, you turn into a yes, and you keep building and you keep building. But the negative, what was good at one level at graduation is bad at the next, because that's toxic ambition. What is fueling me to do good is bad. That means when I get to a healthy place in my life, I need an enemy. I need adversity. I need someone against me. I need to find somebody who hates me so I can feel motivated today, because my whole life has been built off being the underdog. But what's wrong with being not the underdog? Why do you always have to be the underprivileged, the underclass? Why does your motivation come from the subculture? Why can't you be a king or queen or royalty and come from a place of high? Now that's a new level of motivation, because when you have all that you want, you have all the money in the account, you have your home, you have your children, you have all the, who's the enemy now? He's looking in the mirror. He's still there inside you, but more dangerous than being broke and hurt is having money and being hurt. Because now you have access to all the things that kill you in abundance, yet you have never healed inside from toxic ambition. And healthy, like we were told with that line,
We can't hear you. Can't hear you, bro. We can't hear you.
We lost you. We lost you.
We can't hear you.
am I there? Am I there? I'm there.
Yeah,
There,
Testing.
you there.
Testing.
Yeah, we hear you.
I'm
You're
here.
back.
I'm here. I'm back. All right. So what I was talking to my wife about is basically having a new struggle as a man with children, not wanting my demons and struggles to become my children's. I have to find positive motivation. I don't need a bad guy to do right. I
Right.
can wake up and feel good and see the sun and feel pleasant for the day and go for a good run and a workout and not need an enemy to progress in life. So you see, I get what Lauren is saying, how it becomes toxic, because you're always looking for enemies to be motivated. You're looking for
And
negativity
that's
to
so
create
true.
positivity. You dig? So at some point, we got to graduate to the next level of adulthood and start having positivity, create positivity, and it becomes abundance versus I need an enemy. I need someone more who looks like me to be like, he hating. So I'm
Yeah.
motivated today. But
A
why
lot
you
of
needed
people.
somebody to hate on you to be motivated?
Right.
God gave us another day. What are you going to do with this day? And for me, success. is that right there. Success is when my prayer changed and it became, Lord, make me available. Meaning, give me no excuse not to be used today. If
Right.
there's a moment that comes that what you have given me is to be used, let me not have an excuse. Lord, make me available today. And if that means for every
Lost you again. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We lost you.
It was getting good too, boy. It was getting
Yeah,
good.
man. As soon as you get to the good part, it'd be like, pew. Nope, you're not back.
I'm back.
Nope.
I'm
No.
back. I'm
Yeah.
back.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
You
yes.
I
back.
hate that. That's okay. It's the enemy.
Yeah.
But seriously, every moment that I get to love on someone, to care for someone, to train someone, to build a relationship, a bond, to go help in any way, Lord, make me available. Whatever excuse I got, let it not be one. Today, let me maximize
Hey,
my
can you turn me
abilities.
on, please?
We
No.
lost you. Erica, mic, mute your mic. Mute your mic, Erica. Mute your mic.
Oh, my bad. My phone about to die. I need to get the
That's
charge.
who doing it. That's who doing it. Nah. But okay. So this was kind of like our run through episode 2 of health and wellness, but a continuation. Let's build on this with some things that we didn't touch on. I know it's getting late. I know y'all got families and we got to get to
Yeah.
bed. We got church tomorrow. I heard my mom in the background yelling at Marcus. But toxic ambition for the topic tonight. I feel like someone could listen to this and learn from all of us of what we said. I appreciate you all for making yourselves available to
No doubt.
address
No doubt.
a touchy topic that sometimes can
It
be a little nerve-wracking to talk about in front of people. And I
is.
thank you. Our job, like we just said, that if we know better, is to share with others how to do better.
Right.
And we're going to build on that. Is it time to create our own table?
Facts.
Or do we need to learn how to play politics correctly and stop hating the game?
I feel
Right?
like
Don't hate the player, hate the
I feel like
game. We don't know
2020,
how to play the
2020
political
is going to
game.
be about getting rid of the table.
There we go.
We don't need
I
the
like that.
table. We don't need the room that the table is
I like
in.
that.
We need all of our people together. Period.
I like it. I think we can build on this for our next episode. But for all those who are watching, thank you for tuning in to Health is Wealth. We appreciate you on Facebook Live. And if you're on Zoom, and then we'll upload this as well on YouTube, and it'll be available on Apple Podcast as well. And we thank all of the guests as well. You guys have a great night. Be blessed and have
All right.
healthy success and be motivated from positivity.
Love all
In
y'all.
Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
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 Love y'all.
All right.
And we out.